It's April, so I guess I'll shed the hoodie and we'll continue looking at in-case processing options with facial recognition in this week's FTK feature focus. Welcome back to FTK Feature Focus. I'm Justin Tolman, the Director of Training over North America for Access Data and Xtero Company. It's a new name, but the same great software. And like I said, we're going to continue looking at in-case processing options, specifically facial recognition today. So before we jump into FTK though, we're going to talk a little bit about setup, what you need to run it, and where you can get the resources to do it. All right, let's get with it. So first off, with the current version of FTK 7.4.2, you'll need to go to the website to download the FTK AI engine. To do that, you're going to go to accessdata.com, products and services, product downloads. We're in Forensic Toolkit, so we'll select that one. And the current version is Forensic Tools 7.4.2. We'll click the download page and we'll scan down to the 80 Forensic Tools 7.4.2 full disk ISO files. And right below that will be the relevant hash values so you can verify your download. And these blue buttons here represent your download links. So for the main application, you got 80 Forensic Tools 7.4.2. But what we would need to download is the AD image recognition installer. You would download that and run the installer. Default settings are just fine. Okay. Right below that is the image recognition setup info. Now this image recognition setup is for item recognition, guns, knives, etc. Those types of things. We're going to talk about facial recognition, but if you're going to run both or the item recognition, then make sure you download that as well and have a read through. It's going to talk about how to configure your NVIDIA card so you can take advantage of those CUDA cores. Okay, so download that, install it after you've installed FTK. Cool. So the next thing you're going to want to do after you've downloaded and installed it, you've got FTK installed, you've created your case, you're going to navigate to your case directory. So for my case, it's on my F drive cases, and you can see a bunch of cases that I've created here. You're going to need to create this directory called facial recognition. And within this directory, you can create all the different faces that you want to find. So in this case, I have former President Trump, a bunch of pictures. It's just easy for demos to find somebody that's photographed a lot that we'll use. Now, I only have 6 here, and we'll run it against the image. But the more images you have of the person you want to match, the better. However, it can run with minimal amount as well. Sometimes you may only have 1 picture. Just realize that the less images that you have, the more deviation it can be with accuracy. So you're going to create your directory and dump anything in. Now, in a real investigation, this is most likely a victim, maybe a suspect, something like that. And so you may only have a handful. It's fine. You're just going to put it in. Okay. Crop out anybody else in the image. So it's just going to be able to focus on the one subject that you're going to search. Okay. Name your directory something that makes sense to you. We'll show where that's going to pop up later. And so you'll want to name it something that is descriptive of what's in it. Once you have that, you're ready to go. We'll jump into FTK. Okay, so we're in FTK now on the overview tab, but it doesn't matter what tab you're on. We'll just be there for now because we'll see why in a minute. So what we're going to do is go up to Tools, come down to Image Analysis, and you'll see Facial Recognition and Facial Training. Now, facial recognition and facial training, they've been around for a couple versions of FTK, and product and development have been hard at work improving them over the versions of FTK that they've been in. So all we're going to do is run facial training on that directory. And what it's going to do is it's going to train it and then run it automatically. You don't need to separate these two processes. Okay, so just choose facial training. It's going to ask for this Quincy service. We saw this last week, if you watched last week, about the web categories. Okay, we're a local system, so we're going to say no. What will pop up is the facial training window. This is why I suggest you name the directory something that is meaningful. Is if you have multiple directories in there, which you can have, you'll want to know what it's going to hit on. This also will be the name of the label when it finds anything. You'll want to organize that. If they're not related to this case, I recommend having another directory that you can move stuff out. Now, if they're images for a certain type of case or something that's not going to have a same face come up again, then you can always just discard those images once you're done. Okay, so it will run all the different directories on the case that you have loaded into that facial recognition directory we just looked at. Then it will specify the name of the directory as the label. So make sure that all the directories that you have in there relate to the case that you're doing. Okay, once we have everything loaded up, we'll go ahead and click OK. And that's going to go ahead and kick off a process, and it's going to go and run. For the sake of time, we're just going to cut to the end. When it completes, the progress bar will turn green. If it fails, it's going to turn red. You'll notice how many files it scanned, and then you can come into the overview tab and check your results from there. Within FTK, there's no way to reduce the number of images that it's going to scan. It will scan all of the images within your case. So if you have a lot and facial recognition is something that you feel you need to do, filter down to just the photographs or the large image files, create an 81, and load up a new case. It'll be a lot more efficient than scanning all the garbage images that you don't care about. In a future video, I will cover the QView implementation within FTK, and you'll notice that little button here, and it has facial recognition as well, and that will allow you to filter down the images in the interface and run facial recognition against that filtered set. We'll cover that in another video, but if you're working exclusively in FTK, just realize it's going to run over all the images. So it's completed. We can come over to labels and expand this out, and we see our facial recognition results. This will typically be 0. Don't get too alarmed. What it's going to do is it's going to put it into the label based on the directory name that you created. So in this case, Trump, we got 1 hit. And what I had done is just created an 81 of only the Firefox cache files for this video. So I'll select that, and we can see we've got a picture of Trump here pointing at the camera. And if we were to look at that directory, notice that that picture is not in our set, so we didn't just get an easy one there. And it was able to find them out of our data set based on these 6 images based on facial recognition. So jump into FTK, give it a try, see if you can find some faces, and we'll see you again in the next video. Thanks for watching.